Give me 1 second. I was a bit late.
While you can turn off one of the, I think you're on and two, phone as well as the computer. I think you can turn off one of them. Then mute or switch off one of them.
Okay. 1 second, I'm just having trouble with my second monitor. Give me one.
Whatever, take it as Baba's wish.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready, I think.
Baba Vignanand Sachitananda Paramananda Meher Baba Vignanand.
Okay, so if can somebody confirm the screen is visible? And
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so anybody wants to start by reading the 7 realities?
I'll start.
Ashok Ji is our sponsor.
Given a lot of newcomers, I wanted to throw it open also to see if anybody wants to do it.
There is. I withdraw. So let somebody else do it, please.
Yeah.
I was being
These
over.
7 realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. The only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each other, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, even those who harm you. The only real control is the discipline of the senses, abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. The only real surrender is that in which voice is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, among every kind of hardship is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avtar Meher Baba
Meher
Ki
Baba
Jai.
ki jai. Thank you so much for showing leadership, and thank you, Ashok, for stepping back. So Ashok is our resident message reader. He gets the most chances, but today, yes, thank you, Sanjay ji. And welcome to the people. I think it is Pooja ji and Sai Prabhakar ji who have joined. Welcome. Um, we are currently reading God Speaks, and
Okay.
we are currently reading God Speaks, and we are on page 91. So if you're following on the physical book, follow on page 91. And I'd request all of you to be on mute till such time that you want to talk, and feel free to unmute and talk at any time or ask questions at any time as we go along, right? Uh, Anything before we start? I think the last paragraph that we discussed, that we were reading last time, was lost thanks to some network connectivity on my side. So we'll go back half a page and start from there. So what I have marked out is 91, but we'll go back a little to the front, I mean to the back. So just so that we remember where we are going through the evolution of consciousness, and we were reading the bit about the roles, and I think the first stages of the post creation expansion of consciousness, right? So let me start back from uh, maybe a logical one. Yeah. So I'll start from here. So this is the first mention of sleep, dream state, and the true nature of our reality, right? So let's start with that. Tar Meher Baba ki jai. Page 90, the first fresh paragraph. No sooner does man become the creator of the drama of his dream state through the projection of his dormant impressions than this very projection of his own dormant impressions reflects his past as if it were really his present, and man, finding himself involved in this drama, gets absorbed in his past while still maintaining his past to be his present. In this manner, although all the time remaining in the present, the man inadvertently and unknowingly continues to preserve his past, maintaining it to be his present. But when man continues to preserve his past, he, being at the same time the creator, also concurrently becomes the preserver of his own creation through his spontaneous associations with the objects in the drama of his dream state. These very associations, though inadvertently established, maintain the continuity of the drama and endow the creator with the role of the preserver as well. In every wee bit act of preservation of all of that which has passed, man, in his present, as the preserver of his past, inadvertently and unknowingly, also simultaneously establishes the future in his very present by the very act of preserving his past as his present, which present had remained always as the future of the past. I'll pause here. I think, though it sounds very confusing, the concept is that of the drop soul is involved in the creation, and in that creation, thanks to the idea of time already being born, you are able to refer to the past in his present And by that very act of referring to the past and preserving that past in his present, he has actually seeded what is the future. So, any comments, any thoughts? I see Ravi unmuting. You
Yeah.
have something to say?
Yeah.
There's,
So go ahead,
Yeah.
Sanjay.
yeah, maintaining that chain, you are is adding that while you're preserving of the past in the present, it's actually going to be the past of the future, and we are building that chain actually by this preservation process, and it just continues forever and ever. Yeah, Baba.
Yeah. So the two linked conditions are: one, you have to have this idea of time, right? This before the home point, there's no idea of time. So the idea of time creates this complication where we bring in preservation because we are associating with the past. And thanks to that, the fact that there is a past and a preservation ensures there is a future because they are linked. If you use the concept of the clock, right? So of the time rather, right? Ravi, you were saying something.
Yeah. So what does it mean by I am present right now? So right now I am present at this meeting, Teams meeting, at MBA meeting. That is present, right?
Correct?
What is past in this situation is my thinking is past. How I think, what I hear in this meeting, present meeting, how I think is based on my past. That's what I want to say. If anybody wants to correct me, I would appreciate that.
Yeah. No correction, Ravi. But if you try to simulate what is written here to our sanskaras, so that is what it
Yes.
is actually. What we are doing today is based on the sanskaras of the past, and as we keep spending them unknowingly, unwittingly, without the true values, we are creating another chain which will be there in future, and that will be driven by what we are doing today. So, in that sense, also this paragraph can be looked at. Yeah, Baba.
Yes,
Yeah.
without the concept of the sanskaras, which is your link with the past, this paragraph
Yeah,
cannot be understood, right? So the link with the past is established because of sanskaras, and
yeah,
because of the past, your present is recognized. You are saying that I am in this Teams meeting, thanks to the fact that you know Teams meeting, that you know this calendar event, and you join this link, and you have an association with this group, and you know what's going on. That's because of the past you're able to express yourself and recognize the present,
Right.
right? So yeah,
Yeah.
Jay Baba, one more thing. What is present today will become the past for the future. So it's
Mm.
an element of movement on the time scale, and so but every moment is important, and also we have to be cognizant of what sanskaras we are creating, because the chapter on sanskaras says winding and unwinding of sanskaras till it becomes equal and opposite. So that's very important to keep at the back of our mind, that we have to work towards how to uh, reduce the sanskaric load, and also lead to manonash. So these are all very deep and serious subjects.
correct.
Although this is what I want to say. Jai Baba.
Jai
Hey,
Baba, Jai Baba. So I
Karthik,
think this is
can you go to the
technical, right?
previous
Yeah,
paragraph? Can you go to the previous
sure,
paragraph? And I'm kind of a little confusing there for me.
sure. You want me to read it? Reread? I can.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah, sure. So in this manner, although all the time remaining in the present, the man inadvertently and unknowingly continues to preserve his past, maintaining it to be his present. But when man continues to preserve his past, he, being at the same time the creator, also concurrently becomes the preserver of his own creation through his spontaneous associations with the objects in the drama of his dream state. These very associations, though inadvertently established, maintain the continuity of the drama and endow the creator with the role of the preserver as well. Because of the association, the preservation is happening. So I think if you take away the technical part, what is being said here is only the fact that you are going through a dream in a dream, and in that sanskaras are the crutches which give you association and recognition, and you're able to relate to the world. And sanskaras are also the thing that you need to dissolve. We'll come to that later. But here, the technical nature of the operation of the principle of sanskaras and the principle of time is what is being explained. So if you're not, I mean, beyond a point, if you don't get this, it's okay. But then if you think about it, how is this technically working? It's you could use the mathematical or a time series, which is T0 and T1, right? So every T0 was a T minus one, and every T1 will be a T0 at one point. And what strings this together is the fact that we recognize time, and second, we are able to recognize the reality or current reality based on our past associations, which is samskaras. That's so. If the technical part is confusing, no problem. Just think about it later. But the principle of being operated here is the fact that your past associations drive your present, and the whole concept of creation, preservation, and destruction are also done at an individual soul level every second, every minute, every moment. And if you disconnect from that CPD, creative creation, preservation, destruction, you're already in God state, because you're not moved by time, you're not constrained by time, and you're not associating anything.
Yeah. But what I want
So
to take it is that let's point out to loving God, loving Baba. Let's say I'm standing near Samadhi right now. I'm seeing Samadhi. So I am loving Baba there, looking at the Baba picture and seeing the Samadhi. That is the present. But I'm doing this with my past information. But I know that Baba is God and I love Baba. All these things are my sanskaras, past sanskaras. But right now, what I am doing right now is I am loving Baba by looking at Baba, using my senses, my listening. Let's say somebody is singing there in the Samadhi. I'm listening to them, I'm seeing, I'm using my senses in the present, taking the information in, adding to my existing past sanskaras. Yeah, Baba.
agreed. In fact, if I can extend your analogy, when you're standing in the Samadhi is just another building, if not for your sanskaras. Your love for Baba is your past. So
Mm,
the past is what is helping you maintain connectivity with your drop soul called Ravi Erbolu,
yeah,
right? And that is held on by sanskaras. At one
right.
time, you'll let go of that. You let go of sanskaras, and that's the point of the seventh plane, whatever, right? And there you'll not deal with you'll not have to deal with time as we know it. But till then, every moment you're creating, preserving, and destroying. Your world is being created, preserved, and destroyed every second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean, this
also,
is, like I
yeah,
said, it's technical, but it's
yeah,
for
technical
those
only.
curious about this technical, the technical operation, this makes
Yeah.
sense. Otherwise, don't worry about it beyond a point that Sanskaras are the link that help you relate to the world and be part of this apparent reality the way we know it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
Ravi.
like to bring in another example of a man who met with an accident, a Baba lover,
Mhm,
and he forgot everything about the past. He's an older gentleman, but
mhm.
he remembers Baba. He loves Baba. He says the prayer, but he doesn't remember anything in the past of that accident. So, so the two parts, right? One is cognitive mind. What he forgot is the cognitive functioning of the cognitive mind. Probably his sanskaras still act and reflect in some way in the present. That's why he's remembering the prayers and other stuff. Loving Baba.
Yeah. So
Just that.
selective memory loss induced by accident. That's the example can be confusing because what's the selective part which is not lost, right? So in sanskaras, you carry the impressions to the next birth of what you need to carry, your residual. Your residual is what you carry forward, right? Within that birth, if there is a accident induced loss of memory, I mean, grace of Baba is very clearly on that soul, given that he is able to retain the Baba parts of his memory intact and keep that intact, right? So that's his grace and his good sanskaras in that and previous births. But I think that may be a confusing analogy, according to me. But yeah. So, like I said, the this is more technical operation. Kama, what do you say? You're silent.
Yeah, what saying about what?
No, about this concept. Anything more you want to add?
Well, I think the very clear that in the human form we are spending samskaras. That's why we go through reincarnation, and then once you are in the evolution plane, you're unwinding samskaras, either veiled or unveiled, and that's it. So you know, so we are very fortunate to have Baba in our life, and he wants us to go veiled. And I think Ravi's favorite terminology, provisional working ego, is working overtime for all of us if we surrender to it. So that's about it. Hey, Baba.
Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. I'll reread the next paragraph as well. In every wee bit of preservation of all of that which has passed, man in his present, as the preserver of his past, inadvertently and unknowingly also simultaneously establishes the future in his very present by the very act of preserving his past as his present, which present had remained always as the future of the past. Take, for example, a man who finds himself living in the present of today and who looks upon yesterday as all of his past and tomorrow as all of his future. Now, as soon as this man asserts that he is living in the present of today, he inadvertently and unknowingly has preserved that past of yesterday, not only as the present of today, but also as the future of tomorrow, just by maintaining himself as alive today in the present. In every wee bit act of preserving that past of yesterday, while maintaining himself as living in the present of today, that man also inadvertently and unknowingly establishes in his present of today this today as the future of yesterday. So it is that although the past and the future have their own stand, yet both of these are consistently and concurrently preserved only in the present. It is only because of the present that both the past and the future find their point of fusion everlastingly in the present. So, the, so now we have a new word or new concept, right? So the present acts as a point of fusion between the past and the future. The past that has elapsed and the future, the past that has elapsed and you have preserved, the the present which is going to be the future in a few seconds, right? So both of which meet in the point of the present. And again, if you take a day, it's 24 hours. But if you take a second, every second has a prior second and a subsequent second. So the logic is the same. The second that I'm talking this line in, let's take a minute. Second is too short. The minute that I'm talking, making this statement has a prior minute and a future minute, right? And this minute acts as the fusion of the past and the future, right? So now let's continue.
Jay Baba,
Yeah,
one comment on time. See, first of all, time is relative. Space time is only during the waking state, and it's a symbolic representation. And we know whenever we talk about the present, then you talk about past and future because there is only the now. I think we have to be cognizant of the fact there is only the eternal now, but these past, present, future are just symbolic representations to understand this whole framework because the past is yesterday's present and the future is tomorrow's present. So each past future is basically on the eternal now. So that should be the point of focus, I'm saying. Jai Baba.
stealing a book title, huh? Yeah, agreed. What you're saying is perfect. So let's continue on. In the eternity of existence, there is no time, and there is a footnote. So this is going on to extend what Kama just said. The gross, subtle, and mental spheres exist only in imagination, and so time and space exist only in imagination. Time, therefore, has no absolute value, and in each of the three spheres, it has purely relative values that are quite independent of each other. Thus, time on the gross sphere is independent of time on the subtle and mental spheres. Time on the subtle sphere is independent of time on the gross and mental spheres. Time on the mental sphere is independent of time on the gross and subtle spheres. Dream is nothing more than an experience of gross things by means of the subtle organs. And we have all been told how a long and intricate dream may take place in an impossibly brief moment in that imaginary time, which is measured by the movements of the hands on our wristwatch, right? So, uh, so I think all of us have experienced the dream being in a different time speed, right? The speed of time is different in a dream. I'm using the word speed of time, but I hope it's not confusing people. So, uh, a- any thoughts on this comment? Any questions, or can we continue? Okay, so let's continue. In the eternity of existence, there is no time, there is no past and no future, only the everlasting present. Therefore, in eternity, nothing has ever happened and nothing will ever happen. Everything is happening in the unending now, now in capitals. If there is anything happening at all, because all that has apparently happened, all that is apparently happening, and all that will ever apparently happen in the illusory cosmic universe is all that which God has already dreamt the moment his own original infinite whim surged as who am I. So really speaking, nothing has happened and nothing will ever happen. This is a very philosophic handling of creation. So happening is only in our apparent imagination. I see an earthquake, I see an accident, I see a beautiful sight. All of those are in only in the apparent imagination. There's nothing that has ever happened because what is happening is also the dream of God. So the dream of God starts with this. His original infinite whim surged as who am I? And that started the first dream. The second dream is the dream of all of the dropped souls, where we think this is apparently real. The third dream is the dream that you get when you're sleeping. All are dreams, all are at different uh, time, space, speeds, but they are all dreams and nothing is really happening and nothing is really not happening. Right? Okay, let's continue. When man,
Jai Baba.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, Kama.
basically, what this implies is that since we are drop souls from the oversoul, like a holographic image, so we are just a witness. For example, I was just sitting at the ghats in the Ganges and just watching the water flow, and you could see that everything is happening, and you're just watching. And it's like a good analogy of what the word witness you just read here. So you're just becoming a witness to your dream. Jai Baba.
Yeah,
Yeah, another
but
comment
the
I would like
state
to
of,
make is
sure,
the comment I would like to make is God is without time, He's alone, eternal, and uh, infinite, right?
and
It's
everywhere. So
our
there's no
mind
space,
is,
space as well. Sorry.
yeah, and there's no space there. Yeah, I
So
exist,
everywhere.
that's it,
God is everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
For us, with we are under the influence of time, and because of this basic fundamental condition of separation. For example, Kama is enjoying the Ganges flow. If Kama were to live there forever and he sees only the flow, he would not think about it. Because he was in Mehrabad, now he went there and sat there. Now he's seeing a difference of his experience of not seeing the Ganges flow versus Ganges flow. He is finding the difference there because of the time and space and whatnot. But it is not possible for us, for our mind to imagine how to think without time, without space, without that condition. We are limited by that time, space,
Yes,
and
it's
separation.
possible, but we are not there yet.
Yeah.
Right? It's
But only if
possible,
you're
and
attached to
that's the
space
goal.
and time, that is the challenge. You know, only if you're attached to the space time, if you understand that space time is relative and you become very self aware about it, then then I think at least we are, have we have some start, I say. But we get involved, like he says in the Godman Part 2. What is disastrous for the soul is not being conscious of creation, but consciousness gets caught up in creation. And what is disastrous for the soul is not being conscious of the body, but consciousness gets attached to the body. So that is the difference. So you can be in the same spot, but how you perceive it is up to you, you know. Hey, Baba.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. When man, in his dream state, associates with past, present, and even future forms, he simply invents the roles of creating association, then preserving that association, and eventually destroying that association, while all the time maintaining that he is the witness to all these in the present of his dream state. So, what happens in a dream is what is being explained here. So, you're seeing it as a witness. On these very basis of the creation and preservation of all things, creatures and beings created and preserved, whether in the dream state or in the awake state, there hinges at every step in the present an inevitable destruction as the future of all things created and preserved. So the confusing para. So let me read it slowly and read it again. On these very basis of the creation and preservation of all things, creatures and beings created and preserved, whether in the dream state or in the awake state, there hinges at every step in the present an inevitable destruction as the future of all things created and preserved. So the destruction of the present creates the next moment. The next moment is preservation of this moment as the next one, right? So, yeah,
It's a word jargon, it's nothing but, yeah, I remember my past. I was in Mehrabad. That's it. I'm
yeah,
thinking now that I was in Mehrabad. I think that's about it in that paragraph.
yeah, yeah. I think it's the same idea being represented in a different way. Yes. Anything that has its beginning must have its inevitable end, and all things created must inevitably be destroyed, however much such things be preserved, anticipating futurity advertently or inadvertently as destruction. In the very act of preservation, man in the present automatically becomes the preserver of all things that he created in the past. Man becomes the preserver, being in the know of the future that consistently confronts him in the garb of unfailing destruction that awaits its inevitable turn as futurity. Of course, man himself is really not aware that he knows the future, but the very fact that he is the preserver shows that he must be anticipating the destruction, and as destruction belongs to the domain of futurity, the man, though not aware that he knows the future, is knowing it all the time that he is engaged in playing the role of the preserver in the present. Quite a lot being said, and it's a lot of words. So let's go back and reread this if you don't mind. And start from the full paragraph. Anything that has its beginning must have its inevitable end. And all things created must inevitably be destroyed, however much such things be preserved, anticipating futurity advertently or inadvertently as destruction. In the very act of preservation, man in the present automatically becomes the preserver of all things that he created in the past. Man becomes the preserver, being in the know of the future that consistently confronts him in the garb of unfailing destruction that awaits its inevitable turn as futurity. Of course, man himself is really not aware that he knows the future, but the very fact that he is the preserver shows that he must be anticipating the destruction. And as destruction belongs to the domain of futurity, the man, though not aware that he knows the future, is knowing it all the time that he is engaged in playing the role of the preserver in the present. Okay. Anybody wants to try to explain this? I think what it's just a repetition of the same idea. In the act of preservation of the past and the experiencing of the present, you are actually creating the eventual destruction and also the concept of the future. The fact that the future exists means that the present will get destroyed. The current moment gets replaced by the next. And the larger idea is anything non-God, when created, will necessarily have an end date. It will get destroyed, including all of imagination, right? So it's only a matter of when. And that control is actually with the drop soul. That's the point here. Does that kind of make sense? That's what I am understanding out of this.
That means to
Anybody?
say that we can say either stop preserving or destroying.
Yes. No, but the fact that you are preserving ensures its destruction.
Yes.
In the
Ensure.
act of preserving, you're
Yes.
also ensuring the end date, which is automatic. Anything that can be preserved will be destroyed.
Yes.
So that's yeah.
That becomes history, huh?
Yes.
What is that?
That becomes history.
History. Yeah. When you're preserving it, that means that it's bound to get destroyed.
So with
Let's
the
continue, and maybe this.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying now.
No, when you have this chain reaction going on, that is trying to preserve things, you are creating a new thing, and that gets preserved and destroyed also. So with this knowledge, what is the gain out of this? So don't preserve, don't allow it to get destroyed. So there is only one thing which is forever, that is God. So all others are imaginary, additional things that we add on or cover it up. So if this knowledge seeps in, we can stop this process gradually over a period, over janmas also.
Amaji, I think we are not in control of that. It's automatically, we are in
Yeah.
the automatic process. Whether you are conscious of this or not, you are in an automatic process of this process. You
Okay.
don't have a control of this. That can be done only with the perfect master.
Then
So, in other words, I agree with Ravi. What he's saying is, I mean, it's not a matter of control. You can get there, but what is being described here is the technical operation. So, if karma sits on those steps and does not be moved either positively or negatively as the Ganges flows in front of his eyes, then he has reached God state. And his mind is still not affected by it either positively or negative. He's already reached the God state. But he does not. Now, if someone asks why karma is not in God state, then CPD. Then you tell him he created a moment, he preserved that moment, and because he preserved that moment, he's going to experience the next moment as well, which automatically gets created and replaces the current one. So this is more the technical logic or the how of how imagination and how creation is created, sustained, and destroyed. So the replacement, the reaching the God state suspends this activity. So once you reach the God state, for that drop soul, there is no creation, there's no preservation, there's no destruction.
how do we do that? Otherwise, we keep doing this, say, create and then preserve and destroy. This goes on. So then, after, say, reincarnation for so many, say, births, we go into the next phase of unwinding.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
unwinding is a willful act. It has to be a willful act. That act is trying to stop this creation, preservation, and destruction.
I think
Okay,
I'm
so
getting where
I'll give you
Mama.
an analogy. I'll give you an analogy in response, Mama. So let's say your car has stopped working in the middle of the road. You're driving on a trip. The car stops working, right? And you need to get it back on the road. Now, your question is, how do I get it back on the road? I need to do it. My answer is, that's a job in itself. That's a journey, and that's what we are in MBA doing. That's what we have been doing in lifetimes over lifetimes, and it's a process. But what does that involve? That involves operational knowledge of internal combustion engine, what could go wrong, the parts required for it, and all of that. So, if you're interested in that detail, this is the detail. The detail is what is happening every moment is the CPD. But you can't suspend CPD just like that. It's a
No,
process. You
correct.
have to use the
Correct.
tools Baba has given. Yeah, go ahead, Ravi.
I think I'm getting
You said,
understanding of what Mamaji says. I think he's right.
okay.
He's right.
Hmm.
See,
Okay.
that is we have been in this process of cyclical, right? Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. We are under the influence of the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. We create, we sustain for some time, and we destroy it, whatever it is.
Correct.
Okay, even the
Correct.
experiences also. But that is how we have been in that cycle of samsara, each life after life. Now, once we get into the spirituality, what we have to attempt is not to create this process, to somehow deviate from this process. And that can be done only with the love. That's what Baba says. What happens if you do a work for love, for not any personal benefit, and if you do it for love to please Baba, what happens? The sanskaras that would have been created. Let's say I have done a curry. Okay, I have made potato curry. Okay, I'm doing it to eat, and what does eating do? I have satisfaction of eating my meal. Okay, but now being in spiritual paths, I do, even though I continue to doing it for myself, but I do it for the sake of pleasing Baba. Any action I do to please Baba, for Baba, you will not create any sanskaras. Or it may be non-binding sanskaras. You don't bind those sanskaras. And that is what we have to go on implementing so that Baba can give you a lift to our higher states. It's not possible to do it completely, but your attempt for the sake of love, if you try to do, that is when Baba picks you up. Jai Baba. I hope I made that things clear.
Jai Baba. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
It was clear, pretty clear. I think Karthik, all that Babaji and Ravi are trying to do is to go one step further. What's in it for us? How do
How
we,
do we take it from
how,
here? Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's a very, very important reminder. It's a very, very relevant point. We should not get stuck in technicalities. We should, in every
Yes,
lesson,
yes.
we should think, Mera kya hai isme kalya? What do I have to do? I have another thought.
Yes, yes.
It was crossing my mind. Is Kama in front of Ganges actually? Where is he?
Yes, he is. He is in Varanasi.
Oh, is it? Oh, I see. Kama, the lucky guy.
Well, I want to make a comment here that first of all about Karthik was talking about the God state, and actually, the way I look at it, like when we talk about the God state, one is the permanent God state, which is the God realized beings who are constantly in Sachitananda. I think ordinary human beings also experience God state, We know that from the sound sleep state, the divine absolute vacuum state, which is unconscious, and also during the waking state. For example, when we are talking about the Ganges, I'm watching the flow. I see this floating, leaves and trees and these crows sitting there having a nice ride. Now, if I start to preserve it, meaning I'm going to
Lost you.
Yeah.
oops, oops. So if I start saying that I want to remember this, I want to preserve it, then definitely I'm in the becoming state. But if I was just an observer, just observing the whole thing, you're in the being state. So that is a temporary form of God state as such. That is my understanding because all of us go through this. When you're in being, you are, there is no mind state. You're just observing, you're self aware. And the other thing is when Ravi was talking about, we are doing it for Baba and all that. I don't think so. We are doing it for ourselves. You know, Baba is there as a guide, and we are trying to follow his thing. So we are not doing this for Baba, but we are doing this for ourselves because we are here to dissolve our sanskaras. So that is just my perception. Hey, Baba.
So Ravi's point is also what you're saying, which is POW, pure observer witness. So if you're operating at pure observer witness, it's only with uh, offering this to Baba, offering this experience to Baba, offering experiencing this in that context. So I mean, both are right in a sense, but I know what you're trying to convey, Kama, in the sense that it's your individual journey
But
as well.
we are offering the good, bad, and ugly to Baba. Just that part.
Correct.
We are offering all
Correct.
three as such.
Correct.
And
In
Jai
the form
Baba,
of provisional workings, the definition is we are offering the good, the bad, and the ugly of whatever actions we have.
Correct.
Jai
So,
Baba.
what means that in terms of the
Yeah.
God state, that we all experience at God state. Hey, Baba. Okay.
Yeah.
Baba. So the summary and cheat sheet for us going forward is that in any living moment, we attribute everything to Baba. This action is yours. This food is yours. I am yours. I am you. So that will get us out of the cycle, is it?
Absolutely. Surrender is absolutely necessary. What is the purpose of attending every weekend these sessions? If we don't do, yeah, we are not just reading. Unless we practice it, it doesn't. Nothing happens. That's what Karthik sent Rumi's statement, right? Reading is one thing, but understanding comes only in action, not before the action. How you do that? You can do the same thing. We can eat potato curry, nothing happens. But how you eat, with what thought process you eat, makes a big difference for us. How do we choose? Are we in a fork? Are we going the right side or left side? That is the choice you make. So it's not a one day process. We have to try, go on and on and on trial. One day Baba will be happy with our trials. He will
Yes.
help us.
So this value has to become us, just in submission and knowing that this whole thing is done by him. So I think, yeah, it's
Yes.
simplified to that extent.
So
So I think we
yes, and
the cheat sheet now.
the
And
Cheat sheet
finally,
heaven.
see, I am doing it for Baba right now. Okay.
Mm,
That's one change. Final state should be I also has to be dropped.
yes.
Baba is doing it
Baba
for
is doing it.
himself. For
Baba.
himself. See, throughout the God speaks, one point is very clear. Baba made sure to add one sentence. It is the soul, that is the God who is experienced as a drop soul. That we should not forget that. Jai
Baba
Baba.
through us,
Yes.
God through us. Anyway, I think one more important repetition of what Kama said. So the each time you're operating in the realm of leaving it at Baba's feet and experiencing it as Baba, that particular moment is a temporary God realization. Sustaining it is our goal. So how do we get to a point where we do this all the time? Like he said two examples of temporary God realization state. One, deep sleep. We experience it every time you sleep for a few minutes in that night. Second, every time you operate at the realm where you're not doing CPD and you're leaving it at Baba and letting your sanskaras be in the background, that's temporarily in the state of God realization. That particular little nanosecond. That so that was a nice uh, thing that he made. That point he made. So Norm, Ravi, every time we're doing this with Baba, as Baba, and leaving it at his feet, then you're actually in that temporary zone for a bit. Ashish, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question here to just differentiate about the sanskaras, right? We were talking about surrender, continuous taking the name, right? So there are two different ways. Suppose I'm continuously taking Baba's name, or I have surrendered, which is very difficult thing. If I able to continuously taking the Baba's name or whatever the activities I'm doing every day, 24 hours. If I able to do it, it's very good. And I'm doing some good tasks. Again, that may be again the part of ego. I'm doing some good part. But if I'm taking Baba's name, uh, to just follow the Baba's instruction. That is one type of sanskara. And another part of sanskara is most of the people behave like Baba's followers. They're good people, right? So again, here two different kind of sanskaras. They are doing something good things, right? But good thing, but without taking the Baba's name or without but like yeah, the same way like without taking the Baba's name, right? And another thing is ego. Okay, yeah, I did something good today. That is again so three different types of sanskaras here, right? One, while I'm doing just to please the Baba. Another way is without, I'm not taking a Baba's name, but I have ignorance also, just without any kind of, I will say, without knowing I'm doing something good. And another thing is with knowing, is just as a ego, I'm doing something good, right? Something fun. So what's the different types of the sanskaras and what will happen to the sanskaras? All of these are like gold chain sanskaras, or only these two sanskaras, gold chain sanskaras, apart from the like the way I'm just praising the Baba. Hope you understood my question here. What exactly I need to say? Hello?
We heard you. I'm not able to
Mhm.
exactly put my finger on understanding this. Anybody wants
Yeah.
to try to respond? Ravi, go ahead.
Yeah, it's very simple, Ashish.
Mm.
A lot of people before acting any action, if you just remember Baba and act, that itself is enough for us as the learners. Before doing any action, okay, just remember Baba. That's why a number of times we have had discussion of learning to continuously chant Baba's name, right? So if you have that habit, then you don't have to think about, oh, okay, I'm going to do this action. Now let me think about Baba and then do the act, right? So if you have the habit of thinking of Baba, let's say, okay, and that's afterwards. Let's say you want to, let's say I want to, let me go back to my potato curry, okay? Example.
You
Uh,
love it, huh?
no, I don't care for potato. It is full of carb. So it's not, anyway, let me go back to the example of, okay, I want to make potato curry. Okay, now I think about Baba. I'm doing this for you, and I love you. And whatever comes out, I'm going to offer this to you. And there is a famous sloka, Padma Patra Vibham. Mm. I'll send that sloka. It's a beautiful Bhagavad Gita sloka. Whatever you act, if you think of God and you act, the binding will roll off just like water drop falls on a leaf of the
Lotus leaf.
lotus leaf. It's a very famous sloka. So, what happens if you think about God and do this action? The binding will drop off. See, you said in a different ways, right? Same action in different ways. Without your
Three
ego,
ways.
you cannot do any action. You have to have ego. I am doing potato curry. I'm going to cut the potatoes, put salt, put this, put that. I have to use my intellect. I mean, later on, if you do 1,000 times, then you become automatic. But You're using eye consciousness. I have to put salt. Now I have to fry this. Now I have to do this, this, this. You're using intellect. Without using intellect, you cannot do that. But you do full good job in that. And then, but the intention should be you're doing it for not for your satisfaction, but for pleasing Baba. That should become a norm for you. See, that is the purpose of surrender. What is a surrender? It still rings when Urich told me in 1973. I asked Urich, what is surrender? This was the question. He told me, what is there, Ravi? Surrender now.
Again,
What
again and again.
happens? In 1 hour, you think, oh, you have not surrendered. Surrender again. And next day, surrender 100 times. Because Baba never told you to surrender only once. Surrender 1,000 times a day. But you need to know what is the meaning of surrender. And you need to know all the technical details. And once you know, it becomes a habit. So go on surrendering everything you do. That's what Edith said. Even after 45, 40 or 50 years, maybe 45 years, still ringing in my heart what Edith said. So that's what we need to do. Surrender everything we do. Just think about God and do anything. Just think about, try to remember Baba. Che Baba. I hope
So
Ashish.
to answer his
Yes, yes.
question,
Thank you.
what will happen in the three scenarios? Maybe you can point out.
Okay, what are the three scenarios, Ashish?
Oh,
So
can I
the
Test
have a
scenario is,
yourself.
word here? Can I have a word here?
Sure. Go ahead, Mama.
The point what Ravi is saying that is, say, take the name of God in all your actions, surrender it to Him. So what we all understand about it? So the value systems that is set by Baba, the line of activity, how we have to do, what are the ways and means of pleasing Baba. So those things should come to your mind. So in the case of the potato curry, is it only for me? If I say retain some and then I will preserve it for me, I won't give it to somebody else. And there is a hungry person in front of me. Should I partake a part of what I have prepared to with him? These are the things which makes you actually do the action of surrender. So that is not just say Baba and then eat yourself. So those ideas should be coming to your mind. When we say, I surrender to Baba, I say, take the name of Baba means I take all the value systems that Baba has told us to follow and then do every action in that perspective. So that's clarity I wanted to give. Jai Baba.
Yeah,
I love the
So
explanation,
shouldn't
Mamaji.
just
exactly.
Baba.
yeah,
Yeah.
Baba. It shouldn't just be in words. It should
Yes.
be from the soul that I am surrendering in line with Baba's teachings. And then when it becomes repetitive, it becomes you, and then you remove this whole journey of going in and out of sanskaras, and you shorten the distance between reaching Baba earlier than those 700,000. I don't know how many janmas there are. Jai Baba.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So if everybody's okay, we'll continue. Create the next moment. In the very act, I'm continuing reading. In the very act of becoming the creator, preservation of all things created follows, and the creator, perforce, simultaneously has to play the role of the preserver. Concurrently, in the very act of becoming the preserver, destruction of all things preserved is anticipated. Therefore, all things are advertently or inadvertently preserved, and the preserver therefore establishes in the present the future of all things created and preserved. anticipating the inevitable destruction, which is what we learned in the previous paragraph. God, in his original infinite divine dream state, eternally plays the three roles of the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer simultaneously. When God is in the process of preserving his own infinite creation, he is already at the same time in the future, and having preserved what he created, which has passed, the future is definitely established before him, even in his eternal present, which future will destroy what he created in the past and what he preserved in the present. Therefore, God, being omniscient and eternally of the present, knows of the past, which he eternally preserves as the present, and also at the same time, he constantly experiences in advance, in his eternal present, all that which is of the future. Similarly, God in the man state, as man, inadvertently witnesses all the time in his dream state that which is also to be experienced in the future of his awake state. Man thus finds that he sometimes has prescience of things that come to pass after a lapse of time. But we don't remember all the dreams. And very rarely does this prescience occur in nature, right? But we've all had to continue. To sum up, in the very act of creation, the acts of preservation and destruction are also present. So, by creating illusion, God, as it were, simultaneously preserves and destroys it. So that's the summary. In reality, therefore, nothing is created that remains to be preserved and destroyed because the created creation, big C, is of the nothing began, and this began nothing in reality means absolutely nothing in all respects. So, this is the big statement, right? So, all of what we talked about is all in the state of the big nothing, began nothing, which means that all of this is actually has no reality and is actually nothing. Continuing, though this nothing is indeed nothing at all, yet when it is said that the nothing is created by Brahma, preserved by Vishnu, and destroyed by Mahesh or Shiva, it is spoken of only in terms of the infinite illusion. That is, in terms of the infinite divine dream state of God related to the illusory universe, the Brahmand. Now, is the divine dream also infinite? It's big and nothing, you know? How can the big and nothing be infinite? Anybody wants to comment? This goes back to the video I sent, which was a big aha for me. So, this infinite is not big I infinite, it is small I infinite. It's apparent infinity of creation. Nitya. It's not asatya. It's not obviously satya, but it is the apparent infinite nature of creation. Right? Anyway, let's go down and see
Uh,
what Brahmanda is.
what Baba said,
Yeah, Ravi?
what Baba said,
Yeah,
Karthik, is God is infinite, and so his shadow is also infinite.
also infinite. Perfect.
But
The chart.
in a different circumstances, Baba said this creation is finite because two infinites cannot exist. There's only one
In
infinite.
Maya. In the chapter
Yeah.
on Maya, he clarifies that in
Right.
discourses.
Good, good,
Yes,
good. That's the
yes,
reference. Okay.
yes. That's the
So
reference.
yeah. So this also that we think, if you think about the space and planets and light years, can go on thinking how many galaxies are there, and there is a scientific proof recently that happened a couple months ago there is a limit to the even to this creation. You know how many, so many thousands, millions of billions of galaxies are there. There is some rim around. That's also imagination, right? So yeah, we think it's infinite, but it's not. Whatever your mind thinks, that is the finite thing. It's all mind's creation, right? So it's all
Correct.
finite, not infinite.
So
Only
is
God
your
is
mind's imagination infinite?
yeah, mind's infinite is imagination, but it's all illusion. That's all imagination.
Correct. 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 But
Yeah.
the infinite nature of the mind's imagination is important because that's how all of this is conjured up. And that's how innovation happens. Baba says innovation, scientific experiments, all the push that happens in new things is happening only because of the infinite nature of our imagination. Because we are not limited and we are constantly try to think beyond, right? Anyway, let's go to the
Let's
Brahmanda.
say, Baba thought, he's got amused with this Meher Baba Awakens, and let's say he gave us, what did you say, temporary God realization? Is that the term used, comma? Is that the word?
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
that's the
he
word
gave
he
us,
used.
let me give, Baba thought, oh, there's no such thing as temporary God realization. Oh, let me give these guys temporary
These
God realization.
jokers. Hmm.
These jokers. So once we
Yeah.
go into that temporary GR situation, then we think, oh my God, when we were in gross plane, this is the definition of infinite. Now we are experiencing the God's being infinite. Oh, that is totally different from what we had thought with the mind definition. That's what, you know, the experience of being infinite can be experienced only when we get either temporary God realization or permanent God realization. Yeah, Baba.
Yes. And that experience is also, by Baba's words, unfathomable and indescribable. It's not something that's a small step change. It's a completely different orbit. It's a different, uh, indescribable feeling. So maybe in that temporary God realization, we are not even experiencing, and we are back to next CPD, the next second. The go back to Kama's. Sitting on the steps, right? So he sees I mean, it's hypothetical comma, don't get me wrong. So he sees the water, he's enjoying that moment, and then he sees something floating there, maybe a plastic piece that reminds him of something else, and there goes God realization, right? He may see a brand on that, right? So that's how it is.
Karma
That's
is
how
Jai
fleeting
experiencing.
that
Baba,
temporary. Yeah.
Jai Baba, you're all getting jealous of him seeing good things. Enjoy.
Yeah, I
Absolutely
know.
jealous.
I am
Absolutely
jealous
jealous.
of
Yeah.
Karma. Yeah. All those people, the
You
musts
you
who are
said
in the
it, but
different
we are
planes.
we didn't say it. Okay. So what is Brahman? Of the three aspects, creator, sustainer, and dissolver, sustainer is the most important because the present, which sustains the past and the future, is the most important. Therefore, Parvardigar, Vishnu, the sustainer, is the most important aspect of God. So it's not an explanation on the word Brahman, but on the three roles and which role is important. So any comments on that? So the sustenance role is is the biggest, the preserving, and that
Jai Baba,
is for yeah. No,
sorry, I have a small question. Which language is Parvardigar word from?
good question. I don't know.
Persian, right? Persian, right? Baba's
I don't know.
father.
Okay.
What was he chanting? Baba's father, Sharyar.
Hmm.
He was chanting Parvatigar, I think, right? I may be wrong. He was going on chanting all the time. Is it Parvatigar or? Yeah, it's a Persian word, I think. Parvatigar.
Parvardigar. Okay. Okay. So let's go back. In the eternity of reality, there is absolutely no such thing as creation, preservation, or destruction. Neither is there space, nor is there any scope for relativity, much less could there ever be the correlated factors of time, such as the past, present, and the future. In the eternity of big R reality, the one infinite, eternal, and all pervading existence is. So, in the eternity of big R reality, the one infinite, eternal, all pervading existence is, and is isn't bold.
Yes.
Now, I was expecting Mamaji to comment. In fact, I was going to prod him to comment otherwise. So go ahead, Mamaji.
That's why the first dictum Baba has given is existence,
Existence.
God existence. So, what is there always? Existence. So, it is very difficult to define this. And this process in the last two sentences that we read, so we are going to the process of unwinding as a seeker in the path. Say, when we understand that past, present, and future is all imaginary, all built up because of the visualizations, imaginary things. So we need to get rid of this. That is the process of unwinding. So these are all, say, packed up in us as sanskaras. So we unpack and then repack normally into another bundle. But that repacking we should not do. Unpack and try to leave them. Unpack and try to leave them. That is the process of unwinding. So that leaves at the end nothing. So there is no time, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future. That is the state of existence, is state. That's how I understand this. Jai Baba.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the state which is just is. Okay, so let's continue. In short, when the consciousness of a man makes him experience the impressions of the big and nothing subconsciously, the man is said to be dreaming a dream. When the consciousness of the man causes him to experience more realistically the impressions of the same big and nothing full consciously, the man is said to be dreaming yet another dream into the dream, or he is said to be dreaming into the dream, a vacant dream, experiencing the big N nothing into big N nothing. Hence, it is said most appropriately that the world and its affairs are nothing into nothing, dream into dream. This means that God, in the man state, experiences the life of man as a vacant dream into the divine dream, which means creation. Or, in other words, the life of man is yet but another dream of God in the dreaming of his divine dream or the creation. So we already discussed this, but let me just get the charts. So we'll get to this later, but I thought we'll just see this quickly. So this is what is the dream within a dream. So anyway, when we get to the chart, we will go into this in detail. But the point that's being made is God in the big infinite state is the first dream, and the second dream is you and me and all of us on this call. And then the third dream, if you really want to think about it as another dream, is the dream you have in the night when you're sleeping, right? So, the, so all of this is actually nothing into nothing, because it's basically, uh, sorry, I'll just go back to, yeah. So it's basically nothing into nothing. So a void into a void, a dream into a dream, or dream within a dream. Right? Although, I'm continuing, although God in the man state has gained full consciousness and falsely experiences the multifarious impressions of the false infinity of nothingness as the reality of the gross world, this full consciousness and these innumerable impressions are all absorbed or gulfed in, while God in the man state passes away in the sound sleep state, indirectly asserting his original divine state of divine sound sleep. When God in the man state completely wakes up every day from his sound sleep state, the full consciousness, which lay dormant during sound sleep, and the multitude of impressions which had vanished, that is, out of sight and out of experience, in the sound sleep, are now all catapulted out to produce once again the false experiences of the finite big N nothing, manifesting as small r real and small I infinite, big N nothingness. Right? So, beautiful summary of the sleep state, the temporary GR, the temporary God realization that we enjoy, where Baba says, in which the multitude of impressions which had vanished. And when he says vanished, it means it's out of sight and out of experience. So they are in some sort of suspended state, they're gone, whatever, and you are in the divine state. And then the moment you get up, they are catapulted out. They are catapulted out to produce once again the false experience of the finite nothing manifesting as real and infinite nothingness. Right? So let's continue. This unending chain of alternating absorption and ejection of consciousness and impressions in the alternating sound sleep and awake states continues until ultimately all of the impressions are ousted or wiped off clean through the experience of the opposite impressions in the process of reincarnation and involution of consciousness. Thus, impressionless consciousness alone remains to give God the conscious experience of his original, eternal, and infinite real God state. It's a beautiful line again. So you need consciousness because God wants a conscious experience of himself. Thus, impressionless consciousness alone remains to give God the conscious experience of his original, eternal, infinite, real God state. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, let me continue. As God invariably gains full and impressioned consciousness through the human form, the different states of man may be taken as examples with which to compare the different states of God. The sound sleep state of God in the man state not only resembles the divine sound sleep state of God, but is literally the same original divine sound sleep state of God in the beyond state of God is, where unbounded absolute vacuum prevails. So we go to that state every day. And there is a footnote. There is a profound and very real relationship between God realization and sound sleep. The eternal desire of the soul is to become one with God. But because consciousness attaches itself to the gross, the soul seems to become one merely with the gross. In the stone state, for instance, gross consciousness makes the soul identify itself with the stone, although in reality, the soul is all the time one with God. To make this clearer, let us suppose that you take opium or an intoxicating drink. You feel elated or depressed, although there is no radical change in your body, and it is only the consciousness that is affected and gives rise to your feelings. Thus, you, as an individual soul, are 24 hours within and one with God, although you feel merely gross conscious. Again, let us suppose that you feel tired and fed up and that you go to sleep. What is it that you're trying to do? It is nothing but to try to take refuge in God, your natural and inherent state. The whole creation, therefore, has this conscious or unconscious tendency to take shelter in God, the oversoul, by entering the state of sound sleep for a time. So, on a lighter vein, next time you want to sneak a little nap, don't feel guilty because it's your natural reaction to get to the God state, right?
We will call this as a take refuge into God.
Yes. What do you do? What do you do on Sunday afternoons? I take refuge in God. I never miss it. Yeah.
Baba also
So I
says
think
it's okay to have a drink a couple of times a day or something like that.
I didn't see that.
No, I thought I saw it. It's okay to have a drink. That's what
Okay.
I saw it.
As quoted by Ravi. Okay. Okay. So I think we'll stop here and
Hello.
continue on
Hello.
the session. Yeah,
Namaskaram.
Mamaji.
This is Prasanna speaking from Isha volunteering team.
Oh, I think you're on a
Hello.
call, Mamaji. I muted him. Maybe.
Mute, mom.
So I think we'll stop here. And any comments or thoughts before we wrap up? And
Let
maybe we
me.
can stop recording and meet
Let
the
me.
newcomers if possible. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we should do.
But before that, any questions? And I'll stop recording at that point. Okay, so I will stop recording and sharing, and we'll be happy to know more and introduce the people. Okay, I start.